You there? Are you still human? Or have you been infected by the woods as well? Stumbled through a portal, have you? Well, keep your distance from the woods, World Walker. As well as most folk you come upon. Spreads through the touch, it does. World Walker? Not very difficult to tell. Everything about you is odd. But Evermore seems to take to odd rather well. That is, they should take to you rather well. Far more than with me. I am but a lantern bearer. I keep the candles and lamps lit in town. There are things you will quickly find to be of much greater concern in this place. I am sure of it. Now, find your way to the Crooked Lantern, quietly, lest the forest hear you. Seek you solace amidst the darkness. There is light here, ever flickering, but burns nonetheless. Who am I? I could just as well ask you, stranger. Even so, you are but another world walker, having unwittingly stumbled through a portal, are you not? It is rather evident, in dress alone, and yet there is always far more. All of it to so little avail. Can you not see it? The darkness reaches into the hearts of all, and one by one, Evermore will fall. You may speak whatever dulcet deep it is you desire. It is of no consequence to me. However, if you truly care for a soul here, the fate of Evermore, to ever be lauded as a hero, if that is your purpose, you will seek out the voices in anguish. I can do no such thing. Certainly not for another, let alone decide your path. There is much light to shed on, threads to follow to their ends, and weave however you may list. Seek them out, glean you a grasp upon the goings-on near, and perhaps your purpose will be made clear to you, World Walker. Perhaps the brighter days will return, by some small sliver. You see the sorts of folk you may come upon near. The Crooked Lantern, very much like that of the one I bear. As for the bearer, 'tis in a different wise. One of the last places not yet overrun by the infected. Gratefully so. Miss Nessa has been a patient hostess indeed, her fiery nature aside, and Sloane's ever-mounting tab aside. Although I cannot help but suspect that her scolding of the winsome satyr is to seek out more than simply recompense. After all, Badger's tab isn't nearly the size of his, yet he ambles about the gravestones of Loudon's Rest, banished from her tavern. A mystery that the infected pay him no heed. Perhaps he is too full of the wrong spirit. I digress. All sorts will need a respite in this fight, especially the Blackheart hunters. They will stalk the woods for the beasts tainted, twisted and tortured by the blight, only truly resting when there will be sun once again. Coffee grounds, black powder, the parchment of hastily scribbled maps of the North York moors. You're lucky to find else more of them than that, aside from the brooding, as Eowden is particularly wont to do. Rightfully so. In a time of most losing loved ones to the plague, there was suddenly a special, wretched cosmic joke played just for him. But that is his story to tell. Killian has given him the purpose he needs to persist, for now. The knights, on the other hand, scarce set foot in here at all, save to tell the hour, working tirelessly to protect whatever townsfolk remain. Sir Aaron often looks as though he could use a drink, but make no mistake, he is a resilient one. Sturdy would be the shoulders of anyone bearing such a burden, that of duty and an old guilt. Some bear it, upon some it crushes them to oblivion. Others, they will stop at nothing to escape it, even to cast it upon another. 'Tis then only fitting that for me, such respite here has long remained in bygone days, brighter days. You see it then? With the darkness came the plague. With the plague came those seeking to take advantage of the suffering, such as the druids and the acolytes, as well as those seeking to abate the suffering, such as Thurgood the state chemist, Wen the witch, and Wickham. James Birtwistle Wickham, natural philosopher and inventor as he is. You'd scarce mistake him, especially with that automaton of his tottering about. Nonetheless, it was his meddling with the ley lines that tore open the portal from which the darkness seeped. A fool of a man, meddling with that which he does not understand, and now we must pay for it. Dreadful echoes of his selfish pursuits. So yes, he had better sodden well help undo what he did. But nothing ever truly will. Pray that no further echoes come to light in their awful immutable clarity. Perhaps that is why for some there is solace in the dark. He certainly has done more work to soothe the infected than most. I would take caution with him, in that it is certain that his experimentation on himself, as well as whisperings from the darkness, has addled his mind. But who is not addled, tormented by the darkness? Who does not lay upon their pillow and become racked with nightmares? I certainly have not slept for some time myself, if that is for me to have ever done. Nonetheless, you mustn't pay any heed to any such voice from that man who calls himself Dyad. Wen Weaver. She has walked these woods and moors long before most Evermoreans had learned to walk at all, and she is very well feared for it. Scorned by some, revered by a few, now pleaded with by all, to save them from this blight. Such as it is. For such an odd town as Evermore, an odder name still, there is yet great fear of the odd, with no thought to its true danger, merely that it is shrouded. 'Tis a crippling cowardice to never bring one's fears to light, where they can be seen and known in all their true essence, awful and wonderful. Madam Weaver's motives are her own, but truly does she wish to return Evermore to what it once was. From the very order of St. Michael, self-professed followers of the Archangel, they invoke his holy flame with the intent to purify Evermore of this evil. Yet, what is indeed pure to them? Sought they the very dark blood plague for its devastation and agony it wreaks, the daunting threat it poses to the world, or for its oddity, something not known of this world, or at least the world of one's own mind, the world of what is kept in the mind's light, if the answer's not the latter, I glim that it will be so soon enough. How could such an order thrive, save on fear of the strange, that which lies in the dark, that you would sooner destroy in the light of purifying flame than dare behold and understand in lantern light? There is much yet of Evermore to reveal, should it survive this blight, but they would sooner destroy any such secrets for the paltry sin of having been found in the dark. Such curious adornments of corved skulls and gloomy robes. Yet they are not to be feared for their oddity, no. I know nothing so wretchedly and pitifully fearsome as their brittle, callow desire for all things to be as they had first beheld them. Manfolk are nothing if not cripplingly fearful of themselves most of all. Deluded fools, the lot of them. They seek to spread the plague further, speaking of it as a salvation for all, to truly become one with nature. All I have seen it bring is twisted, gnarled misery. Pay no heed to their fanatic drivel. You know of him, then? The God whom they worship, forfeiting the very consciousness to, blathering on about his terrible power, the power he promises them for aiding in the spread of the plague. But they know nothing of Gadarin, not like I do. Truly, he is no fair king. He forfeited that the moment he chose the darkness over his own people. Yes, Gadarin. That was his name. Now twisted by the darkness into the self-professed fair king. That monster you see in town square. As silver-tongued as Gadarin was, to be sure, but 'twas always for mirth's sake. Never this, never power, dominion. Truly, he abandoned me. He abandoned Sloane. He abandoned his dear fairies. I wish nothing to do with him. Sloane the satyr as well, yes. Sloane Faustus, always so strong of spirit, stronger than even his wine, pressed from his coveted Faustus grapes. Strong, as satyrs are wont to be. Gods know the fairies need that. Certainly after... well... Here, Worldwalker, might you do me a favour? If it is of little trouble to you, of course. This coin, it belonged to a dear friend of ours who was taken by the woods. I haven't the heart to keep it. Might you take it to him for me? Excellent. I'm sure you will have place for it. Unless, of course, Bryony gets her hands on it, which I suppose should be considered an inevitability, knowing that one. Please, watch yourself out there, friend. Ah, very well. Do as you must. There are greater matters at hand, truly. Well met, friend. So it would seem. One who is called such by fair ones ought to further concern themselves with matters of the fae, should they wish to be called so once again. In their mirth, you will never find a heart so pure. Such is the flickering glow of their fellowship. A rabble of fair but fellow friends, each their own oddity, intertwined in both the care and the kerfuffle. Caderin, Sloane, and I, thick as inkleweavers we were. I suppose it has not been so great a secret, has it? Clearly I hold no ill will towards dear Sloane, no. Rather, it is what I had seen on my search in the woods when Caderin first went missing. Aye, it is best that I remain and bring none of this trouble, this darkness, this heartache to Sloane, and especially not the fairies. Should I tell you what I saw, you must swear on the noses of the gods between the split and the devil's tongue, swear in this very lantern light, that you will never tell the fairies. Then I will show you what I saw in this very lantern light. Sloane is surely concerned I seem a coward for not joining me in my search for Caderin in the woods. But no, he had his reasons. As for me, I was indeed searching for Caderin in the woods, and I indeed found him. Or perhaps, at least his form, growths on his garland notwithstanding. The look in his eyes, the colours about him. That was not my Caderin. A fool I was, to think hiding behind the tree would spare me. No. His wretched cries, tortured by the changes, as if twisted by the very forest himself. The agony in his voice, but the contempt as well. As he cut me with such words I have never known him to utter. Cold, cruel. Nonetheless, perhaps he was right in that I am but a coward of a friend. Perhaps he was right in that I am a useless excuse of an adviser. I, in lantern light, chose to abandon his side when he needed me the most. Yes, that much is indeed clear to me. But to join him in his state, to abandon his people, is nothing Caderin would want. My Caderin. So, I could do naught but run. If not for him, then for his fairies. Such pure, perfect creatures. They deserve much better than I. I am but a coward, yet you, Wolfwalker, you are different. Perhaps your meddling is precisely what we need. Tell Sloane of this if you wish, if you think the burden upon his heart a worthy cost. Do as you must. Do as you wish. I suppose there is naught else to speak of on this matter. You may return to Sloane, having gleaned that I intend to return to them when I am ready. He need not worry. The darkness does not take to me as it does others. I see tendrils unravelling. Well done, Worldwalker. The only question is, will they unravel before those who remain dwindle utterly? The final candle, burnt at both ends for so long, quenched at last. When you were out in the woods hunting dark terrors, you see, Sloane paid back all his debts to Miss Nessa, baked Flutterheart his favourite bread, all in the same while. Might you find him and see if he is planning aught foolish? So, he has gone into the woods, the fool. Did I not make it clear enough to him that I do not hold it against him? not joining me when Caderan first vanished into the woods. And the nerve to leave me to watch over the fairies. I am in no place to bring anything to them but heaviness. I would have been better use alongside him on this foolish quest, damn him. Still, who knows their woodlands better than a satyr? Such is what I have a mind to tell the fairies, and perhaps myself. Little else can I afford, given everything. Pray, return him to us, Worldwalker, for their sake. I know not how their pure little hearts could bear to lose another. I, myself, am wont to bide in alone. So the grip continues to unravel. Forgive the incessant prodding. Did you happen to come across Sloane at any point in the woods? Have I asked you that before? Such a memory hides from me. Blood, surely not his. Even so, he is a satyr. No one better to navigate those woods. Surely he has not been lost to me as well. Surely I am not left to tend to the fairies alone. I dare not sleep. Every dream has brought me to the same place. The same forest hollow. But Caderan nowhere to be seen, no. In his place, it is Sloane. It is Imelda. It is Flutterheart, drawn by the same dark desires, and turned, one after another, until I am the only one left to revisit again and again why I failed them, why my mind is shrouded in this fearful shadow. And I will deserve it. That may indeed be so, my dearest Sloane, but you must understand. Your heart is pure, from which glows your desire to take in those who haven't place else in the world. This Alice has already grown a special bond with you, truly, what with her blood parents scarcely having ever paid her any mind. I see the mirth about her, yes, but mind, you are a sworn guardian of the fairies, and as such, are wont to bonding with fairies. Creatures of such awful mirth, fae such as you, who know not the woes of time so intimately as do those of mortal kind. I ask that you give more thought to this. You will live your days together merry and bright. I'm certain you will see to that. But to what end? Burying your chosen daughter under your favourite tree. Asleep forever, a blink after they awake. Such is how it always ends with manfolk. Each end, just as empty as the last. Are you certain you want this? I was, once. When I saw the hold of the darkness slacken even further, I knew what you had done, as did the fairies. Took heart from it they did, gathered themselves and bared their hearts in lantern light. Briny, Flutterheart, Imelda, and even little Windy Dash, all insisting that Caderan was still in there, somewhere, that they could feel it, as sure as they could wiggle their nose, the latter of which they, of course, demonstrated earnestly, and skillfully, I might add. We watched for an opening, when the fair king had no druid attending to him, and then, hand in hand, we approached. The monster, as luminous as it is, mocked and scorned us, refusing to call me for anything but candle bearer. At last, I was unburdened of many a harsh word, truly making known my heart's burnings. But that was of little consequence, save for only myself. For, when I was finally caught wickless, the tender pleadings of the fairies remained, pleading for him to remember himself, calling him by his name, Caderin. They sang for him. He recognized the song, almost began to sing along. But then, that damned archdruid, Ulk, undid all of it in a single bellow, calling his fellow loyal hounds forth to cast us out of town square. So, the fairies were right, which I suspected, but simply wished was not so. There is something left of him in that husk, but will it be enough? Not once did he utter my name, Faldo. But the fairies speak my name. If there is one thing I have learned from them, it is that my distance from them has helped no one. Together we must keep our candles lit. One in the heart, one in the mind, one in the bond of friends intertwined. The druidic order weakens, challenged by the testimonies of the cured. Already there are defectors. After all, such silvery words they were fed cannot help but claim, if kept in shadow no longer. So, as you have likely already reckoned, the opportune moment will come to make your move against the fair king. I know he has caused the suffering of countless, yet I implore you, he is but a puppet to the darkness, just as the plague itself. Woolwalker, my Caderin could very well be somewhere in that husk. You may yet find a way to cure him. And yet, he could very well be far too gone. I could be leading you to your death, or at least to squandering perhaps the only chance to save Evermore. Selfish of me, is it not? Do as you must, Woolwalker. At least you will not suffer for much longer. He had the most beautiful moth wings. Would that you might have seen them. Caderin, it really is him, my old friend. So then, you truly have followed the threads to their ends, seen them in their true and awful colours. Not the grey that the darkness would have you behold. You have seen the pain in the eyes of the infected, their souls shackled together in wretched unity, puppeted by an insatiable force to fight against their own kind. You have seen the anguish in the eyes of the archdruid. He is no Ulk, so named by the fair king, but Gruffer Glenwood, driven mad by grief, vulnerable to the dark whisperings. His story is not over. There is yet much he must look upon now that it stands about him in searing lantern light, and approach arduously. Such had he failed to do with the loss of his beloved. Perhaps he will emerge scarred this time, rather than blinded. And Wickham's guilt, the rift it tore between him and Wen, shrouding the path to mending the rift between worlds in order to cut off the source of the darkness and weaken the fair king's power. And yes, Sloane, rescued by the Black Hearts, spoke of a looming threat beyond Evermore, more fearful than that of the fair king. And yet, you have lit the path unseen, woven with us our own inkle. And I will see to it that none forget it, friend. Caderon will certainly hear plenty about you when he is fully himself again. If not from me, then from the fairies. Remember you this. When you see the twinkle in their eyes, hear their peals of laughter, you will know that you are never far from home. This I promise you, friend. So, you know this story very well. Saving this town and being lauded as a hero. It must certainly be something. Now, among his remains, surely you had come upon a gilded laurel. Very much of the like that Caderon would grow upon his tousled head. Now all that is left of him. You need not pretend otherwise, World Walker. I must simply ask, as the lantern-bearer that I am, is it in your story to return this memento to me, to the people Caderon called home? Or have you your own story for it? I will see to it that you remember us. It is a terrible thing you have wrought, but nothing so terrible as him yet living in such agony as he did. We will take this laurel, and with it bloom flowers that gleam of what once was, to illuminate the paths ahead, to brighter days, a path of our own. I will see to it that you remember us, yes, but so will our light, interwoven with yours, gleam into paths that lie before you. Be wary of looking upon where the lattices kiss, as for each soul there exists their own seductive knowledge that unravels the mind. Walk the path without fear, but with the heart of a child, curious, inquisitive. Perhaps then your fate will be wittingly yours, deservedly. Keep your candle lit, ever flickering, but never quenched, until we meet again, World Walker. Do as you wish, World Walker. The path you have chosen is the one you seek. One where all that lies upon and along it surely have the sole purpose of being for you. The glory, the riches, yes, and the snares, the pitfalls. Any such fate will be one you had sought all along. That you have glimpsed me well, be it shambling through the dark unwittingly, or gazing upon it arduously in lantern light. You will have always sought it. Never shall you find your way to us, intertwining your frayed thread with ours. Never will the Fae call ourselves your home. Farewell, World Walker. Well met, World Walker. You haven't yet the taint in your eyes. Broken, but not yet lost. The darkness thickens. Perhaps they will find what they are looking for. Can they see it? The darkest place is below the candlestick. Is this what you wanted? Do as you must. Keep your candle lit. Watch yourself out there, World Walker. Do as you wish. Aught more to say? Have you but come here to prove yourself a fool? Well, I am certainly one step ahead of you on that, mortal. I fear you will not get what you want from this, World Walker. Oh, Caderon. Oh, Sloan. Oh, very friends. Ah, it seems I must remain and see another end. Is this what you were looking for? I cannot save them, only watch. But watch I will no longer. The only comfort I have left is that I have put one flickering flame upon my waxen hat. The solace that I may now shroud your every path. Watch as we shamble in the darkness together, as you stumble amongst my vast, ever-shrouded woe, sliver by sliver. I'm afraid I recall not your name, Woldwalker, and henceforth neither will you, wretched one.